It's the end of the year, so we wanted to round up our favorite games to play on PlayStation 4. Now, to round this list out and keep it balanced, we are including games that are exclusive to PS4 as well as PC. We grouped the true PS4-only exclusives towards the second half of this list to differentiate them. We'll be doing this for our Xbox One video as well to keep it all balanced. And remember, this is the GameRanks team's personal choices. Yours should differ, so let us know in the comments. But let's get started off with number 10. Pyre is a very interesting game that was unlike anything we were really expecting. From Supergiant Games, the folks behind Transistor and Bastion, what you get here is a narrative-based game revolving around almost fantasy-style NBA Jam gameplay. That's simplifying it a little bit, but it's based around this religious mythology of battling and banishing others, and it's really cool. And the story is interesting. If it sounds simple, it's just because it's hard to explain why the game works so well. It's unexpected, it'll keep you interested, and if you're a fan of other Supergiant games, their DNA is all over this one. But at number 9, we have Nioh, the latest game from Team Ninja. It basically feels like if you combined a Team Ninja game like Ninja Gaiden with Dark Souls and Onimusha. Nioh is extremely challenging and incredibly lengthy, and it's kind of obvious, but I think if you're a fan of elements similar to this genre, like tight, focused combat, maze-like level design with a bunch of things to discover and level up, and lots of violence, this might be your jam. It's a weird adventure full of history, myth, pirates, ghosts, ninjas, samurais, fire dogs, fairies, and ghost cats. Yeah, you're gonna die a lot, but you'll probably be smiling along the way. But talking about something that probably won't make you smile at all, we have Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It's the latest game from the folks that brought us the underrated Enslaved, Heavenly Sword, and the latest Devil May Cry game DMC, but it's totally different from those. You play as this girl Senua in her pretty sad, fruitless quest to bring back her love from the dead. She's also suffering through mental illness, and the game is kind of like a descent into madness where you don't really know what's real and what's not. It has incredible sound design and looks amazing, and it's constantly pretty scary and unnerving in a very unsettling way. When you're not cutting down creepy enemies with your sword, you're exploring creepy, otherworldly environments and following a sad but compelling story. It doesn't outstay its welcome, and it's incredibly interesting throughout, and I think you should absolutely play it. You shouldn't miss this one. But at number 7, speaking of things you shouldn't miss, we have Nier Automata. It's set up in the distant future where humankind was driven out of Earth by robots and machines. They took over the Earth, and then mankind was stuck living out on the moon. And then eventually, they developed these human-like androids to pilot down to Earth from their space stations to fight the war for humankind for them. You play as a combat android known as 2B, and while it looks anime as hell, this game is a sci-fi fan's dreams come true. What starts as a pretty awesome action game with tons of variety and crazy bosses and scenarios, it really transforms into this really strange send-up on your average video game setup and story. And once you beat the main game, you aren't even close to finished. You have to beat it multiple times. But even still, it's not exactly how it sounds and it's not how you think. I'm trying not to spoil things, but if you like a good Japanese sci-fi action game, or just action games in general, and one by Platinum Games, go for Nier. It's definitely the sleeper hit of the year for sure. But at number 6, we have Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 is essentially the prequel setup to the famous numbered Japanese Yakuza games. From a plot that focuses on criminal and local politics and real estate land grabs and family and friendship drama, it really manages to pull you in quite easily. While it is a little soap opera-y, it's still very, very interesting. The main plot is pretty self-serious most of the time, but the side quest stuff is really charming and special. That's where the game shines, at least for me. Karaoke minigames, among many others, like sneaking porn magazines and talking to weird people and bowling and dancing and playing arcade games at the arcade keep you occupied for the times that you're not forwarding the story or punching lots of dudes in the streets. With a pretty good arcade style beat 'em up system, there's 2 playable characters and each of them have their own 3 distinct fighting styles. It sounds like a very weird game because it is weird, but it became one of my surprise favorites of the year. And at number 5, we have Gran Turismo Sport. This PlayStation exclusive is back once again. The Gran Turismo games take years and years to make because they're super accurate, obsessively attentive to detail, and generally just high-quality racing sims. The same goes for this one, GT Sport. While there are many other racing games out there that might emphasize fun factor, GT Sport goes all in on realism to the point where you need training in-game to really learn how to properly drive these cars. It's not perfect, the online is a little weird, but there's a bunch of cars and it's just a quality racing experience that also looks really, really good. At number 4, we have the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. What you get for your money here is the original 3 Crash Bandicoot games that started it all. Crash Bandicoot, Cortex Strikes Back, and Warped, and they're all lovingly rebuilt with crisp and colorful as hell HD graphics. These are simple platformers from the early days of the original PlayStation, but I personally think they're still really fun to play through. They're quirky, memorable, challenging, and charming, and serve as a good history lesson on PlayStation, if you're into that. There's enough scenario and levels and gameplay variety to keep you playing for a pretty long time, even in one sitting, because you won't get bored. Plus, maybe you weren't old enough to experience the originals. This is a good way to play them. They managed to not really screw up much of it, and that's good. At number 3, we have Uncharted Lost Legacy. This is a lower price standalone complement to Uncharted 4, but don't write it off as like throwaway DLC or anything like that. This is a new story, filling in some blanks with Chloe Fraser and Nadine Ross, and it's just good old-fashioned Uncharted fun in every sense. There's a little bit of this new open world jungle to explore with plenty of puzzles to solve and treasures to find and dudes to shoot, but the big action set pieces here are a bit more spread out, but they are still just as fun and as memorable as any main Uncharted game. You get a fun evil villain to punch and 2 charismatic main characters to keep you interested, and ultimately I think Lost Legacy shows that the Uncharted series can move on and survive without Nathan Drake. The fun factor and the wit and charm of these games are still perfectly intact, and now I can't wait to see where the series goes. So if you're looking for another taste of Uncharted after Uncharted 4, this isn't a full price or full length game, but that doesn't really make a difference because the quality is still so good that you should absolutely jump into it. Then at number 2, we have Persona 5, a JRPG that is one of the most JRPG-est games you'll ever play. It's one of the best JRPGs in a long time, even. The story and character-focused turn-based battler focuses around the dealings of being in high school and managing your time for schoolwork and activities, while also spending time in the metaverse, battling and catching personas to battle against the desires of evil people. I'm glossing over it a lot for time's sake, but what you get here is a really interesting and dense story and universe worth digging into. Characters and moments are really memorable, and the dungeons and battles and grinding are compelling enough to actually keep you playing and engaged. The game is also one of the coolest, most stylish, and best sounding games we've played in a while. Even the pause screen looks and sounds amazing. The detail here is crazy. It's definitely a game for specific tastes, but if your tastes come even a fraction close, try Persona 5. It's a time sink that you absolutely won't regret. But at number 1, we have Horizon Zero Dawn. While it does borrow heavily from a lot of other games in some aspects, and that may even bother some people, the way Horizon Zero Dawn is different makes sticking around for it really worth it. You play as the main heroic character Aloy on this quest to figure out her origins and her world. And the best part? The world itself is a post-apocalyptic landscape unlike any one you've seen before. There are so many post-apocalyptic games and movies out there, but this world is totally different. It's so far in the future, machines have become the wildlife, and humanity has been reduced to native and medieval-like instincts. Horizon just really nails the world building and gives you cultures and lore you're going to want to explore and learn more about, as well as just ultimately unraveling what happened to the world, with secrets buried deep beneath rotting skyscrapers. It's cool and incredibly gorgeous. If you have a PS4 Pro, or even just a nice new TV, this is the game to show off right now. The open world is gigantic and varied, and it's a more traditional RPG than you might expect. There's a lot of quests here. Fighting and hunting creatures with your bow and setting traps is really fun, but it's the story and the non-copy and paste side quests that are going to keep you coming. Horizon Zero Dawn is absolutely one of our favorite PlayStation exclusives of the year. But fear not, there's still plenty of other PC, PS4 exclusives we gotta talk about, like, first of all, Knack 2, baby. This is a game that exists, and it's actually pretty good. It's way better than the first one. We also have Danganronpa V3, Killing Harmony. Baseball fans, you get the one MLB exclusive game, MLB The Show 17. And of course, we couldn't not mention Gravity Rush 2, which is a really quirky, very different game with some fun combat that you should check out. We couldn't mention Yakuza 0 without bringing up Yakuza Kiwami, the remake of the first original Yakuza game that started it all. And last but not least, Everybody's Golf, a really charming, quirky, fun golf game that even if you hate golf, you still probably will like this game. But those are our picks for the best PlayStation 4 games of 2017. But of course, like we said, these are our picks, so we definitely want to hear yours down in the comments. If you have a top 5 for us or a top 10, definitely share it with us. But you know by now, clicking the like button does help us out, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you should, because we got more stuff like this coming out very soon. But as always, thanks for watching.